Having wiped out all opposition, he can now move on to the next phase of his revolution that he plotted in Mein Kampf: the elimination of the Jews. At the annual party rally, held in Nuremberg in 1935, the Nazis launched new laws. Marriage between Germans and Jews is prohibited. Jews are stripped of their citizenship and their civil rights.
Jews eventually were forced to wear the famous yellow stars. Brutal, menacing stormtroopers stood at the entrance to the stores with placards saying, "Don't buy from Jews."
3 years later, Hitler goes a stage further. His stormtroopers unleash their unique brand of terror throughout Nazi Germany and Austria. They call it the Night of Breaking Glass, or Kristallnacht. 1,000 synagogues are burnt, and 7,000 Jewish businesses are destroyed.
Jews themselves were physically attacked, scores of them were killed, swastikas were actually carved into their flesh.
30,000 Jewish men are arrested and sent to concentration camps, where most will perish. For the first time, the German people can see what Hitler's anti-Semitism really means. 250,000 Jews flee the country, but over 200,000 still remain. All the while, Hitler is building up his military to seize more land for Lebensraum. The treaties at the end of World War I have limited Germany's forces to just 100,000 troops. But as he promises in Mein Kampf, he creates the most advanced army in Europe.
We have the whole of Germany militarized, motorized, rearming at a rapid pace under his direction, and it is a country utterly transformed.
Hitler now pushes through his foreign policy goals towards Lebensraum. First, he sends his troops into the Rhineland, an area that had been part of Germany before World War I and has since been occupied. 2 years later, he annexes Austria, fulfilling his schoolboy dream of uniting the German and Austrian people.
We need back the Rhineland, we need Austria, we need all the parts were taken from us. There's a logic, and many people were convinced. Even Churchill said that in logic, Hitler had a case.
A year later, Hitler seizes a part of Czechoslovakia with a large German population, before pushing forward to take the rest of the country, even though there are no Germans there.
Germany needs to expand, needs to take territory, mainly towards its east.
Each time the result is the same. Britain and France talk tough, but do nothing. So when they say that they will declare war if he invades Poland, he ignores them. On September the 1st, 1939, Hitler attacks Poland. World War II begins. For the first time, foreign leaders see what a madman Hitler really is. Never before has an invading army targeted civilians with such wholesale savagery.
As Hitler himself said, this is a war of racial annihilation.
Anybody in your way, destroy it. So civilians, as well as military, can be destroyed.
The German army's crimes are so horrific that at the time they have no name. Later, they will be called crimes against humanity. Tens of thousands of Poles are executed, and within 6 weeks, Poland is crushed. 2 million Polish Jews now find themselves in Nazi hands, awaiting their fate. In the spring of 1940, Denmark surrenders, and Norway is taken. From May through June, Hitler's tanks overrun France and the Low Countries. To Hitler, these successes reinforce his personal belief that he is the Messiah for the Aryan people, and remove any hesitation when it comes to invading Stalinist Russia.
In June 1941, having primed his army with the idea that mass murder was going to be not only tolerated but encouraged, he launched the attack on the Soviet Union.
The Führer regards this invasion as Germany's final struggle for Lebensraum, the living space, which he promised in Mein Kampf. And he commands his troops to flout the rules of war. As Slavs are racially inferior to Aryans, they do not deserve mercy. Soviet prisoners of war are sent to starvation camps, where 2.6 million perish from hunger, and another 500,000 are murdered. Even so, the evil Adolf Hitler is truly capable of, hasn't even started. By July 1941, his armies have invaded Poland and the Soviet Union countries, containing millions of Jews. Now at last he can enact the most evil of his racialist ideas, that the Jews are a cancer that must be cut out.
In pursuit of Hitler's insane ideal of physical and mental perfection, those who were deemed unworthy to be citizens of the new Reich were put to death.
Einsatzgruppen, special death squads, are sent in to murder the Polish and Russian Jews. Their victims are made to dig a trench. A first wave gets into the trench and then are shot. The next group get in and are shot and are laid on top of the first group. And on and on.
And something like 1.5 million Jews are shot in that process.
It's known as sardine packing. It's a means of eliminating the Jews that is both expensive and inefficient. In top secret, Hitler's henchmen are experimenting with other forms of mass murder. As a forerunner of what will become known as the final solution, Hitler's plan for the annihilation of all European Jews, the Nazis begin a secret euthanasia campaign to kill disabled children.
Children with Down syndrome or various other mental and physical disabilities would be taken away from their families, taken to a special hospital where they would be put to death by lethal injections.
Some 5,000 innocent, sick and disabled children are murdered by lethal injection, administered by carefully selected nurses and doctors. But this too proves to be slow and expensive. A secret department, known as T4, is set up to find a way of killing as many people as possible, quickly and quietly. It tries out poison carbon monoxide gas in shower rooms, where a further 70,000 physically and mentally disabled men, women, and children are killed. When the truth about the killing emerges, people are distressed that their friends or family members might be targeted.
Euthanasia went beyond what had originally been planned, so much so that many Germans, learning of it, began to protest. And he withdrew it, the program, in late 41, realizing that it had gone beyond what they would accept.
Their protests teach the Führer that Germans don't like seeing mass slaughter.